What if the vegetables you've trusted your whole life were quietly making your joints ache or your blood sugar spike? After 65, your body's relationship with food changes, and even healthy veggies can help or hurt depending on how you prepare them. Let's explore the 4 most beneficial vegetables for seniors, and 4 you should approach with caution or a smarter strategy. You've been told your whole life, eat your veggies, but what if some of those vegetables are quietly sabotaging your bones, your blood sugar, or even your immune system? Today, we're walking through 4 vegetables you must eat after 65, and 4 you should absolutely avoid unless you know how to prepare them right. And number 2, it's one that almost every doctor recommends, but it loses 90% of its power unless you do one thing first. After 65, your body doesn't respond to vegetables the same way it did at 30. Your digestion slows, your bones need more help, and your immune system shifts. The right vegetables can sharpen your brain, protect your vision, and keep your joints moving freely. But the wrong ones, or even the right ones prepared wrong, can block nutrients, spike blood sugar, and fuel inflammation. In this video, we'll break down exactly what to eat, what to avoid, and simple swaps that can make every bite support your body, not stress it. 4 vegetables you must eat: marijuana, dark leafy greens, kale, spinach. He wasn't worried about memory loss, not yet. He still remembered the names of his old co-workers, still did the crossword every morning, still paid the bills on time. But something had shifted. He'd walk into a room and forget why. He'd tell a story, then pause halfway, trying to find a word he used every day. It wasn't serious, but it wasn't nothing either. That's when his daughter, a nutritionist, brought over something unexpected. A small bag of spinach. 1 cup a day. She smiled. Give it a month. He was skeptical but willing. Here's the surprising truth. Seniors who eat just 1.3 servings of leafy greens daily, that's about a cup raw, half a cup cooked, experience up to 50% slower cognitive decline compared to those who rarely eat greens. And it's not about superfoods or fancy powders. It's about lutein, a compound that settles into the brain's gray matter and protects the cells responsible for memory and focus. But here's the twist. Most seniors eat spinach raw in smoothies, salads, or wraps, which sounds healthy, but raw spinach and kale are high in oxalates, compounds that bind calcium and prevent its absorption. That means you're eating a food that's supposed to protect your brain while quietly blocking the minerals your bones and nerves actually need. Lightly steaming your greens for just a few minutes reduces oxalates by up to 50%, makes lutein more bioavailable, softens the texture without killing nutrients. Now every morning, he sautés spinach and olive oil with a pinch of garlic, cracks an egg on top and smiles. He's not chasing youth. He's feeding the part of his brain that still wants to remember where he left his glasses. And some mornings, he actually finds them. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do for your brain is give your vegetables a little heat and let them do the healing. Yes. 2. Cruciferous vegetables: broccoli, share Brussels sprouts. At first glance, broccoli just looks like broccoli, a green floret, a side dish, something you steam when you're trying to be good. But inside that tiny tree, there's something far more powerful than most seniors realize, especially when it comes to cellular aging. Let me explain. Your body is constantly under attack, not just from outside invaders, but from the inside too. Free radicals, oxidative stress, damage to your DNA. That's why your body relies on detoxification enzymes, natural systems designed to clean house at a cellular level. Here's where broccoli comes in. Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts contain a unique compound called glucoraphanin. But on its own, glucoraphanin doesn't do much. It needs an enzyme called myroinosase to convert it into sulforaphane, the real hero. And here's the kicker. That enzyme only activates once you chop or chew the broccoli. But heat, especially boiling or microwaving, destroys it within minutes. So if you chop and cook it immediately, you lose up to 90% of the sulforain potential. But if you do this instead, chop your broccoli, let it sit on the cutting board for 40 to 45 minutes, then steam or saute lightly in olive oil. You give the enzymes time to do their work. You arm each folate, turning them into tiny DNA repair kits for your cells. That's not a metaphor. Sulforaphane has been shown to activate over 200 protective genes, lower inflammation, and support detox pathways. That decline naturally after 60. It's not about eating more broccoli. It's about eating it right. And if you're short on time, just sprinkle some raw mustard seed powder after cooking. It reintroduces the enzyme even after heat. Sometimes the smallest change, a pause on the cutting board, is the difference between eating a vegetable and unleashing a cellular army. Has anyone ever told you to just eat more broccoli? If you've been doing it all wrong like I used to, type broccoli surprise in the comments. 3 sweet potatoes. She didn't like vegetables growing. Up too green, too bitter, too boring. But there was one exception. Her grandma's sweet potato mash. It wasn't fancy, just roasted sweet potatoes, a little cinnamon, maybe a splash of olive oil. But every time she ate it, she felt calmer, full, but not heavy, energized, but not jittery. Years later, at 67, when her doctor warned of rising blood sugar and early signs of macular degeneration, she remembered that dish, and as it turns out, that memory wasn't just nostalgic. It was nutritional wisdom. Here's what sweet potatoes really do. They're rich in beta-carotene, the vibrant orange pigment that converts into vitamin A, a nutrient essential for eye health, particularly in preventing age-related macular degeneration, AMD. In fact, studies show seniors who consume beta-carotene-rich foods regularly experience 30 to 40% lower risk of vision decline over a 6-year period. But that's just half the story. Unlike white potatoes or rice, sweet potatoes have a low glycemic index, meaning they release glucose more slowly into the bloodstream. So instead of that spike crash fatigue cycle, you get steady, sustained energy. That's huge for seniors whose insulin response has naturally declined. And the fiber, it doesn't just help digestion. It slows carb absorption, helps regulate cholesterol, and makes sweet potatoes a kind of built-in buffer for your blood sugar. But preparation matters. Boiling sweet potatoes can leach away beta-carotene and blunt flavor. Instead, roast them with the skin on. That's where much of the fiber and antioxidants are stored. Add a touch of cinnamon. You don't just enhance taste, you lower blood sugar response even more. So if you've been avoiding sweet things for years out of fear, sweet potatoes might be the food that heals that fear gently, safely, deliciously. Sometimes the sweetest thing on your plate is also the one that keeps you strongest. 4 cooked mushrooms. She didn't expect mushrooms to do anything special. They were just filler, really. The chewy little extras in her omelette. The kind of things she pushed to the side of her plate when she was younger. But now at 69, with a weaker immune system and longer recovery from every cold, her doctor suggested something surprising. Cook your mushrooms and eat them more often. She laughed at first. How could mushrooms of all things matter? Turns out they're not just spongy sidekicks. They're quiet powerhouses, especially for seniors. Mushrooms contain beta-glucans, natural polysaccharides that stimulate immune cells like natural killer cells and macrophages. They also provide ergotamine, a unique antioxidant that protects against oxidative stress, particularly in the lungs and brain. But there's a catch. You must cook them. Raw mushrooms contain compounds that block nutrient absorption and may even be mildly toxic. Cooking not only neutralizes these, but also unlocks their immune-supporting benefits. Think of it like releasing a soft inner armor, one that's been hiding under that brown cap all along. Studies show that seniors who consume cooked mushrooms regularly have better immune markers, slower cognitive decline, and greater resilience against seasonal illnesses. And the best part, they're easy on digestion. Earthy, familiar, comforting, especially when lightly sautéed with olive oil, garlic, or thyme. No supplements, no side effects, just one small food that makes your immune system feel not younger, but supported. She still adds them to her omelette now, but this time she eats every piece and thanks them. Sometimes the quietest food on your plate is the one quietly protecting you all along. 4. You should never touch. 5. Celery, the silent salt trap. He drank green juice every morning. Celery, cucumber, a little lemon. He'd seen it online, read it in magazines, great for blood pressure, they said, good for weight loss, they said, and it made him feel like he was doing something right. But over time, something strange started happening. His blood pressure wasn't going down. It spiked unexpectedly. In the afternoon, sometimes even after his so-called detox mornings, he started to feel jittery, and the more celery he added, the worse it got. No one warned him that celery is naturally high in sodium, and for most people that's not a big deal. But for someone over 65, with declining kidney efficiency and sensitive blood pressure, that salt adds up, especially when juiced in large amounts. Each stalk of celery has about 30 to 35 milligaules of sodium. Juice 6 of them. You're already past 200 milligaules before breakfast, and unlike table salt, your tongue doesn't taste it. It sneaks in silently. Worse, celery contains compounds called psoralins, which in rare cases can cause photosensitivity, making skin more reactive to sunlight. He didn't need to quit celery forever. He just needed to see it for what it was. A vegetable with benefits, yes, but not something to flood your body with. Now he adds 1 or 2 stalks to a stew or salad. No more. Juicing, no more drinking it straight. And his blood pressure finally steadier. Sometimes the quietest things you consume with pride are the ones that need the most moderation. 6 nightshades, tomatoes, eggplant. She loved tomato soup with a grilled cheese sandwich on a rainy afternoon. It was comfort in a bowl. She never once questioned it. Tomatoes were vegetables. Vegetables were good. That was the rule. But as the years passed, she started noticing something strange. Her knees ached more on some days than others. She felt stiffness in her fingers by the end of the evening. At first, she blamed it on the weather, then on aging, then quietly on herself. It wasn't until a neighbor mentioned something called nightshades that she looked closer. Tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, foods she ate often, all part of the nightshade family. And inside them a compound called solanine, known for its natural defense properties in plants. But in sensitive adults, especially those with arthritis or joint inflammation, it can aggravate the immune system, triggering pain, swelling, and stiffness. In one study, 68% of seniors with chronic joint issues reported noticeable relief after reducing nightshade intake. Not all, but many. Enough to pause and pay attention. She tested it for herself, cut the tomatoes, skipped the eggplant. 3 weeks. In, her mornings felt looser. The ache behind her knees softened. She could clasp her necklace without wincing. She didn't abandon flavor. She swapped in roasted red peppers high in vitamin C and none of the solanine. She kept the warmth, the color, the comfort, and the bowl of soup still there, still red, still hers, just a little kinder. Sometimes the foods we trust most are the ones our bodies quietly ask us to let go of. Do your knees ever feel worse after a tomato-heavy meal? You're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. Comment tomato. If this surprised you like it did me. The 7 canned corn. It was just corn, soft, sweet, and easy to chew. It reminded him of summer picnics and backyard barbecues. And at 72, when his appetite wasn't what it used to be, corn from the can felt safe, familiar, comfort food. He didn't realize it was also a trap. He'd been struggling with energy dips, a sharp rise after breakfast, then a crash by 10:30, afternoon yawns, evening fog. The nurse at his diabetes checkup asked what he ate for lunch. Usually canned corn, he said. It's soft, it's fast, and it goes with everything. She nodded gently and explained something he'd never heard before. Canned corn, unlike its fresh or whole kernel form, has a high glycemic index and very little fiber. That means it spikes your blood sugar fast and crashes it even faster. For someone over 65 whose insulin sensitivity naturally declines, this constant roller coaster can mean fatigue, blurred focus, and over time real metabolic risk. And worse, he thought he was doing the right thing, choosing veggies, eating light, staying off sugar. But corn in that can, it was sugar in disguise. He didn't need to give up vegetables. He just needed vegetables that gave back. Now he swaps it for steamed edamame, higher in protein and fiber, or sautéed zucchini with a pinch of herbs. His energy smoother, his brain a little clearer, and that afternoon fog finally lifting. Sometimes it's not the sweetness on your tongue that hurts you. It's the one hiding where you'd never expect it. 8. Raw cabbage in excess. She always thought Kleslaw was one of the good ones. It was crisp, colorful, full of fiber, and best of all, it made her feel virtuous. No mayo, no sugar, just raw cabbage with vinegar and a dash of salt. It crunched like health and she loved the sound. But over the last few years, her body had been whispering something else. Her hands were colder, her energy dipped faster. She'd gained weight despite no change in how she ate, and something about her mornings just felt slower. Her doctor ran the numbers. Mild hypothyroidism. Nothing alarming, but enough to explain what she'd been feeling. That's when she found the connection. Raw cabbage, along with other cruciferous vegetables, contains compounds called goitrogens, which can interfere with iodine uptake in the thyroid, especially when consumed in excess. She didn't need to eliminate cabbage. She just needed to give it a little help by lightly steaming, stir-frying, or fermenting it like in traditional kimchi or sauerkraut. Those goitrogens are largely neutralized, leaving behind the fiber, the crunch, and the gut. Friendly support she loved. She didn't stop eating Kleslaw, she just learned how to prepare it with care. Now it loves her back, because sometimes even the brightest crunch on your plate carries a weight your body has quietly borne for too long. The right vegetable doesn't just feed your body. It can protect your bones, calm your joints, sharpen your memory. And the wrong one, it might be stealing from you quietly, bite after bite. After 65, every meal becomes either a quiet medicine or a slow mistake. You get to choose which one it is. Which veggie caught you off guard today? Comment veggie swap below and we'll send you our free senior cooking guide, or tag someone who still eats raw kale like it's harmless. And next Tuesday we'll expose the 3 so-called healthy cereals that may be accelerating memory loss, plus the forgotten grain that's feeding sharp minds in Okinawa at 95+. You won't want to miss it. Conclusion: at 65 and beyond, food is no longer just nourishment. It's a conversation with your aging body. Some vegetables offer your joints, brain, bones, and immune system exactly what they need to thrive. Others, when eaten too often or prepared the wrong way, can do the opposite. That's why knowledge is more powerful than any label. Steam your greens, rest your broccoli, roast your sweet potatoes, and welcome cooked mushrooms as allies. Watch out for hidden sodium, joint-inflaming nightshades, sugar-heavy corn,